Good afternoon. This is News Hughes. I'm Scotty Nell Hughes, and you're watching RT America. The Navy acknowledges a top secret briefings and a video regarding a UFO episode. However, in a public information request, the Department of Defense says they're not going to release it. But as RT correspondent Natasha Sweet explains, the government's response about not releasing the video provided more information than they might have expected.
In response to a public information request, the Navy says top secret UFO files could, quote, gravely damage U.S. national security if made public. And according to experts, that doesn't necessarily mean extraterrestrial.
This video you see here is a U.S. fighter jet, the USS Nimitz in San Diego, chasing off a UFO. The Department of Defense confirms this incident in a public information request, saying the release of these top secret materials would cause, quote, exceptionally grave damage to national security of the United States. The spokesperson also tells the media outlet the date of the 2004 USS Nimitz video is November 14th of 2004, and the video that's been circulating since 2007 is the same length as the video source.
What it could be is anyone's guess.
Vahe Peroomian, professor of physics and astronomy at the University of Southern California, says he doesn't doubt there is someone who knows exactly what that unidentified flying object was.
So when I watched that video, you see an oblong object. You see it, and to me, the only thing it does, which is out of the ordinary, is how it zooms out of view at the end.
While Peroomian believes in life on other planets, he says the DoD classifying this as something regarding national security could mean the UFO is anything from one of the U.S.'s adversaries to other technology in the works.
I don't think every object we see should be just immediately thought of as extraterrestrial.
With the race to the moon and talks of living on Mars, Peroomian says there's no question our fascination with life on other planets is growing. In fact, he's teaching a new course this semester called Human Sediment and Exploration of the Solar System. The class explores where humans could go and eventually settle.
I think our solar system just presents so many possibilities for humanity to expand into that the possibilities are limitless.
But Peroomian says with 1 trillion galaxies out there, it's possible our idea of what alien life looks like is far from reality.
Now, while the Department of Defense acknowledges top secret briefings and a video from an encounter back in 2004, a spokeswoman made it clear that this information would not be released anytime soon. Reporting in Los Angeles, Natasha Sweet, RT.
For more on this, we turn to a former International Space Station commander, Leroy Chiao. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, great to be with you.
Okay, so I just have to ask you, how hard is it to identify a flying subject in the sky, especially if you have all of the technology that the government has?
Well, sure, it can be very difficult. I mean, you may see something on your radar screen, but then if it's nighttime when this thing is flying around, it could be very difficult to see. You could, have shadows and silhouettes, lighting conditions, weather, all that can obscure what you're really looking at.
Well, but that's the thing. Let's talk about 2004, which is the case that kind of brought this on. If there was something in the sky just flying around and it proposed a security risk, what could be the harm of disclosing it now, 16 years later, to the public?
Well, we just don't know because, my guess is this is some kind of a secret military aircraft program that has probably been going on for some time. Just as an example, way back in the 1980s, the stealth bomber program came out. It turned out it had been in development for many, many years. So even something 16 years ago, if it was just starting out, it could still be in development. We just don't really know.
Well, but that's the thing, like with anything else, speculation sometimes leads to curiosity. Curiosity sometimes leads to imagination. Don't you think sometimes this veil of secrecy kind of leads to even more trouble than actually coming out and saying, listen, this was a military program, we identified it, move on?
Well, you're right, because all it does is kind of feed fuel to the fire of speculation, people coming up with all kinds of ideas. I tell you what, from my time in space, I've seen a lot of weird things, and in every case, it's been explained as either natural or man-made phenomena. So I'm sure that this is kind of the same thing. It's probably a secret military program that the government just doesn't want to talk about.
Oh, Leroy, you literally just handed it to me. You just softballed it, because I want to talk about some of those things that you saw in space as Britain's first astronaut, Helen Sharman, who visited the Soviet space station in 1991, says that aliens definitely do exist and it's possible they are living amongst us. We're talking total Men in Black here. But they've gone undetected. You know, you've been in outer space. You just mentioned that some of them were either man-made, you could scientifically explain. There are billions of stars in the universe. There has to be all sorts of different forms of life. Do you agree with this?
Absolutely. I firmly believe there's other life in the universe. I mean, just look how vast the universe is. It would be the height of arrogance to think that we are the only intelligent life in this entire universe. And so I think it's everywhere. But at the same time, I would say that I do not believe we've been visited. I think the next civilization that might be like us is probably hundreds of millions or even farther light years away, and we'll never find each other. We won't have the technology to travel those vast distances. Even though I'm a big Trekkie and love Star Trek, I don't see it happening.
Well, I'm going to help feed all of those sci-fi Trekkies that are watching the show right now because we have a huge audience like it. Hello, my name's Scotty, beam me up. When you were in space, when you were looking out, did you ever look out the windows and that curiosity in the back of your mind go, wait a minute, could that be? Did you ever have any of those moments when you're up in space and go, there might be some truth to this and this is what I'm seeing?
Well, let me give you an example. On my second space shuttle mission, we were called by the Mission Control Center, and they said, "Hey, look back towards Florida. There's going to be a satellite launch, and you might be able to see the rocket." And so we were looking back there. We didn't see the rocket, but suddenly the entire horizon lit up with all the colors of the rainbow, and we didn't know what it was. And then it turned out later the explanation was that after the rocket had launched the satellite, the spent stage opened up valves to vent the remaining liquid propellant into space. And of course, when that liquid propellant hit the cold vacuum of space, it all froze into little particles, right? Little ice particles. And our sunlight going through those particles, they all acted like little prisms and diffracted the light into all the colors of the rainbow. But if we hadn't been warned and then the explanation of what we saw, we would have probably thought it was the mothership coming to take over.
And that's the news for this hour. Follow me on Twitter @ScottNHughes. Thank you for questioning more.